SST history. Students, the remaining portion of chapter 3 today we have to conclude. Chapter name is Swimming in the Countryside, and today's topic is niche cultivation and roti cultivation. So students, yesterday we read about niche cultivation. What is it? In that, if someone is hiring a land and make their cultivation with the help of other cultivators or money lenders, so the property having personalities started hiring of land, okay, who had more money and distributed their land. Niche means personal. If you see the word Hindi, niche means personal. So some rich men hired or take that lands in cultivation and distributed that lands to small cultivators to grow crops. And that time indigo was the main concern to grow. And if you see what these cultivators did, they started hiring the lands nearby the indigo factories, because it was easy to collect indigo from there, and the fertility of dense populated area or the people where lived more is more than the area which are apart from dense populated area. So that's why they started hiring niche cultivators. That means the rich men of that time started lending of money and started distribution of that lands in the hands of small cultivators, and they started the cultivation of indigo. And who were roti cultivators? Roti cultivation, that means if somebody is sowing seeds in his own or agriculture in his own land, if somebody cultivates on his own land, that means roti cultivation. So people somewhere of their own landowners, and somewhere rich men who hire some lands, what they get fertile and more useful, and sowed indigo there. So students, we see the problem with niche cultivation. The planters realized that, page number 32, the planters realized that they had acquired smaller plots of land with lesser fertility in comparison to the densely populated areas with high fertility. So they tried to lease land around indigo factories and evicted the peasants from their lands. This usually resulted in clashes. So students, I have told previously that land nearby the indigo factories were more cultivated or more fertile. So that's why British hired the land nearby there. So all planters were evicted from there. That means imposed or migrated somewhere else and sent somewhere else, because they purchased that land elsewhere. It was costly or cheap rate, but they bought that lands because they were more fertile and easy to cultivate indigo. So it was the point of clashes. Another problem faced by the indigo planters was lack of laborers. Peasants were not available to work on the indigo plantations. So first problem was to roti cultivation. That niche cultivators started purchasing their lands and hiring their lands, and that's why they evicted or they sent out from there. And second problem was the problem of lack of laborers. There were some lack of laborers. That's why peasants were not available to work on indigo plantations, as they were occupied with rice cultivation. Niche cultivation also required a huge number of ploughs and bullocks. So students, you can understand, niche cultivation was on the big scale, and for that concern peasants or landowners have to have more bullocks and more ox and all, so more ploughs also for cultivation. So what happens then? So this where the problems occurring them was not easy, as the peasants were already using their ploughs and bullocks for rice cultivation. So students, as we know, indigo was a cash crop and rice was food crop. So it was also essential to for cultivate rice crops also. But British wanted more and more cultivation of indigo. That's why they forced them, and it was not easy for these cultivators also, that forcefully they can hire more person, more ploughs and more bullocks, and at the same time because that bullocks and that ploughs were engaged in rice cultivation. So for indigo cultivation there was lack of that resources. So that problem faced by these cultivators. And if we see the problem of roti cultivation, in roti cultivation the ryots were forced to grow indigo on their lands after signing a document called Satta. So it was important thing to Satta. There was a document which was signed by cultivators, ryotis, that means farmers and cultivators. So they were bound to grow indigo on their lands. After signing this, the ryots received cash in advance at low interest rates. So it was problem for ryots also that they were in poor conditions. So they had to bear loans and some money from money lenders. So they beared some money in low rates and taxes, but they were forced to cultivate indigo on 25% on their land. So if there is 100% of land, 25% land has to be cultivated by indigo. This was in that concern of signing that document. So what happens then? The planters supplied the seeds and machinery. The ryots were supposed to make the fields ready for cultivation. So by the cooperation of both of them, money lenders also supplied seeds and machinery to cultivate indigo. The ryots were supposed to make the fields ready for cultivation, and ryots made their fields ready for the cultivation. So the seeds and look after the crops. So after sowing the seeds, cultivators and peasants look after the crops. The crops were sold to the planters at fixed rate, and the loan was repaid. So also the planters or the money lenders were the purchaser and buyer of that indigo plant also, the raw material of indigo. So it was purchased or bought in a fixed price, and by that ryots and farmers were able to pay their loans which were taken from their money lenders. So rate was fixed. Sell also loan rate was less as compared we see. So by that system they were doing this cultivation. So what happens and what problems occur in that? The crops were sold to plant, and initially the ryots found it profitable, but soon realized that they were not getting a good price for indigo. So price was fixed, and they were selling that indigo in European markets and Western markets in high price. So Indians were not well known that time in starting, but after the time passes they understood that they are getting cheated by selling their indigo in low price, because they were taken some money from money lenders or planters. So they realized this thing in further time, and they started rebellion and rebellious thinking. They revolted for that, and what happens then? So moreover, cultivating indigo made the lands infertile, and ryots could not cultivate rice any further. This is important thing, students. The cultivation of indigo makes land less fertile. So it was also a problem for ryots and farmers. If they are continuously cultivating the indigo, their farms will be less fertile. So it was a problem also. Then students, what happens? So thus the ryots incurred heavy losses and were left with infertile lands and loans to repay. Both problems were there. There was a loan to repay, there was a problem, and next problem was less fertility of their soils and land. So they started rebellion. The Indigo rebellion started. The Rios finally revolted against the indigo planters in 1859. 1859 was the Indigo Revolution. What was there? Due to constant exploitation, the rebellion was led by the Vishnu Charan Biswas and Digambar Biswas in Nadia district, Bengal. The cultivators refused to grow indigo and attacked indigo factories. They attacked the planters and rent collectors as well. The Riots pledged neither to take loans from the planters nor to build any further by the goons hired by the planters. So students, goons mean bullies. Let me say in Hindi, gunde. So, British used old ways to exploit our farmers. They firstly gave loans in less rate, then forced to grow 25% land of indigo, and then purchased that indigos in less rate and sold in high price in other Western markets. By this, our peasantry get revolted and they rejected the booms and all exploitation of indigo planters and British. So the local jamidars and village headmen too supported the Riots. The British tried to pacify the Riots and issued an order notifying that the Riots would not be forced to cultivate indigo and to make calm to indigo planters, and the Riots government has to rise a step that the indigo plantation will be stopped. So what happens then? But the rebellion still spread, and finally the military had to be called to safeguard the planters. Soon the British government set up an inquiry commission. So the rebellion got more and more. That time it was bad face of peasants, because they were exploited by some more time. So it became a huge revolution, and by that army has to be demanded there, and after that the Rios were asked to repay their loans by cultivating crops of their choice on their fields. So the solution was there. The loan also has to be repaid. So cultivators and farmers and Rios were allowed that they can grow any crops which they want, and by that they have to repay the loans which they had taken. Sugar plantations were set up in eastern Uttar Pradesh by the Europeans. The peasants were forced to produce a thickened sugarcane juice called roots. So students, if we see after Indigo Rebellion, there was a rebellion of sugar. Sugar plantations were set up in eastern Uttar Pradesh. If we see today our part where we live, eastern Uttar Pradesh, and eastern Uttar Pradesh started the sugar plantation, and sugarcane juice called root. This was delivered to the planters who processed this into sugar. So after the plantation of indigo, planters started plantation of sugarcane in eastern UP, and they taken roots that this time we can say good and all things in Hindi if you see. So they taken that roots from our cultivators, and they made sugar by that. So like indigo, they were also taken some money, and they were also forced to plant sugarcane on their field. This was delivered to the planters who processed this into sugar. As a result of this, the peasants were not able to produce gur or jaggery, which they used for their own consumption and sold to other Indian states. So the demand of sugar increased. They were not able to make jaggeries and gur for them. They started only for others. It was something hard thing for peasants, so they started revolts. And what was the revolt? Some other peasants' revolt were there. The economic policies of the company, coupled with the drought and famine, made the life of the peasants miserable, and impoverished. So students, if we see all systems of taxes, if we see about Rotwari system or Mahalwari system or niche cultivation or roti cultivation, and we see exploitation in the name of some crops like indigo and sugarcane. So some other peasants revolts were there, if we see, and because there were some drought and famine which was occurred that time, and by that the condition of peasants was miserable and impoverished and exploited, we can say. So they were unable to pay the loans and taxes imposed by the agriculture help the company, imposed by the company, and were indebted to the money lenders. Commercialization of agriculture helped the company to earn huge profits, but the peasants became poorer. So company gets more profit, but peasants became poorer. And this constant operation forced the peasants to revolt against the company, local zamindars and money lenders. So the exploitation of money lenders, local zamindars and Britishers, and British made our peasants angered, and they started revolts. And what happens then? So forced the peasants revolts against the company, local zamindars and money lenders. Apart from the Indigo rebellion, various peasants revolts took place throughout the country, such as No Revenue Movement, Champaran Satyagraha as renewed by Gandhiji in Bihar, Champaran Kheda Satyagraha, Kheda is in Gujarat near Ahmedabad, Kisan movement was there in Delhi, Ekka movement and Bardoli Satyagraha as you know, Bardoli is in Surat. So these small satyagrahas and revolutions were started on the name of peasant revolts, because our farmers were poorly exploited in the hands of money lenders, in the hands of British, in the hands of rulers of that time, local zamindars and all. So impact of peasant revolts, what happens then? Although the peasant revolts were suppressed by the British, they had a few effects. Some of these were the peasant revolts, so that they had the capacity to rebel and resist when faced with oppression and exploitation. So this was understood and proved that if we exploit someone, the results will surely come from opposition. And the courage and heroism of the peasants were proved, although they were not at par with the British weaponry. So as we know, we were not as capable as the weaponry British had, but the heroism and the excitement which our rebellions had, it was appreciable. And what happens then? The peasants became aware of the rights. So they became aware and full concerned about their rights, what they have to do and what they can stop the exploitation which were being done. And these revolts created political awareness in the country, which helped in strengthening the nationalist movement. And we see by this revolt the gathering of national movements and nationalists were happened and started, and the peasant revolts resulted in the emergence of Kisan Sabhas, farmer societies, which were organized to work for the cause of peasant students. By that, some Kisan societies has been started, and by the improvement of farmers had started. So students, by this, our ancestors did rebellions and revolts, and by that we are now in free condition. So students, this in homework, you have to write a small summary on that, all revolts and impacts of that, and students read more and more for